Hey everybody, it's Chaz Smith here. I'm just going to wait a few minutes for some people to tune in. So just hang out with me here for a couple minutes. Just gonna share it and let people know that I'm on live here so that they can join us if they want to connect or if they have any great questions. So just bear with me as viewers are tuning in, and thank you everyone who is here so far. And yeah, hopefully we can get started here. Okay. Well, hey everyone, and for Happy New Year's and Happy Monday. So 2021, hey, in Alberta here, it's been quite interesting watching the news and paying attention to all that's going on. I know that for most of us, 2020 has been a trying year, and so in saying that, my plans for 2021, I wanted to start doing more with this public figure Facebook page that I have here. I created this Facebook account because on my personal Facebook, I had reached sort of some of the limitations that that Facebook would kind of let me have. My friends list started filling up. I kind of wanted a more public platform to be able to advocate. And when I say advocate, my platform has very consistently been to advocate on behalf of people's experiencing homelessness, and often those that are marginalized, and human rights goes along with that. I am a proud supporter of the LGBTQ2S community. I am myself part of that community, and so it's important for me to encourage the advocating within those communities. So first off, I just want to say hi to a couple people. So thanks for tuning in, Brendan, and Michael's Roofing, and Rob, thank you so much for that. I know there's about 10 others of you right now, and I'd love to give you a shout out. So if you have any questions for me, what we're going to talk about tonight hopefully is a little bit of what starting a nonprofit looks like, kind of what it entails, and then additionally things like public speaking. So this past year for COVID, I've done probably over 50 news interviews, and I'm so grateful that that the media has been very forthright in wanting to cover homelessness, and that they wanted to connect with the street outreach team, the nonprofit I started, Be the Change YYC. to hear what we're seeing and what we are experiencing on the streets. So that's where I'll start, actually, is talking exactly about that. So for all you people who are interested in starting your own nonprofit, first off, I'll say that it's a nonprofit. So if you're looking to start a grassroots movement to make money, it's probably not quite the right direction. We're talking about nonprofits here. And in this case, we've been running at Be the Change now for 5.5 years, and I don't pay myself. And that is simply because I want to create a nonprofit that met people experiencing homelessness in a direction, that in a place where I once was at. So in order to do that, I know it's so important to have tangible essential goods. And so all of our dollars goes indeed to support. All the donations go to purchase supplies for people experiencing homelessness. People do deserve to be paid for the work that they do, and I don't think there is anything wrong with that. That just hasn't been our setup yet. But in saying that, 5.5 years, just where I'd encourage you is to start somewhere, if not anywhere. Sort of like this live video tonight. I've been thinking for the past week, I need to do a live video. I need to, start doing more public speaking on my page. And I wasn't quite sure where to start, but I guess kind of just starting somewhere. Thanks, John, Renee. I appreciate that comment. And Rob, that's a great question. So as a nonprofit, Rob's question here is, are you able to issue tax receipts? So as a nonprofit, you don't issue tax receipts. That's usually a privilege for charities. So once you're a nonprofit for a year, you can then qualify to become a charity and then have that privilege to file tax receipts, and then individuals, when they file taxes, can benefit from that as well. So that is something that Be the Change does qualify for as well. So we can grow to becoming a charity if we choose to do so. So that might be something in the future that we've talked about. Thank you, Deborah. So what we are doing right now, aside from that we talked about paying there, is starting a nonprofit similar to this video. Just got to start somewhere. I think starting a grassroots initiative is you just go out and you try and you just try somewhere. I think once you get the ball rolling, that's the best way to start. And volunteer, create connections, and connections are for sure some of the most powerful things. I think the work that we do at Be the Change, it's not just us against the world. There are so many other people and agencies in this sector. There are great people working at so many agencies. There's the Drop-In Center, there's Alpha House, the Salvation Army, the Calgary Mustard Seed. And these are just to name a few of the shelters that we have here in Calgary. But I have the privilege and honor of knowing some of those staff and how hard they have to work. And so we're no different at Be the Change. Although we're volunteer run, we work very hard. Most of our team at Be the Change right now is indeed social workers and people with addictions certificates. So that education is highly sought after and important in this sector. Many of our outreach workers go on to working at positions of the Drop-In Center and Alpha House and AHS and other positions. So it's a great place to start. You have courage and vision. BTC is doing great work. We need more like you and your team. Thanks, Dana. And I am so honored to know you as well, because you've always been a great person to connect with and to uh, to learn from and bounce ideas off of, and that's what it is, you know, I have the pleasure of, you know, talking on behalf of Team Be the Change often, but it's not just me. It is, you know, it is many people that work very hard for those experiencing homelessness. So the pandemic for us at Be the Change has really forced us to evolve and adapt much quicker than previous. So we went from, you know, sort of like a teenager into an adult very quickly as a nonprofit. We our response was to expand our operations from running one time per week, which was a Wednesday, to running Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday most of the entire pandemic. And we did that because I once was homeless, and I could not bear it in my heart to sort of, you know, abandon this population and leave them on the streets. What happened during the first wave, it was very unfortunate. We walked the streets many days, and often the only people that were walking downtown Calgary were people who were homeless. The downtown core emptied. People were not going to work anymore. They weren't going to their office jobs. They weren't traveling to the parks. We were all sheltering indoors. And what I saw in that moment was a clear divide between us and them. And what I mean by that is that it was many times just homeless people walking the streets. And they saw firsthand that when crisis happened, that we as a society would protect ourselves. And, you know, in many ways, it was a clear example that we would abandon them and sort of leave them out there like that. And it was heartbreaking. And I know as a society, we haven't abandoned people experiencing homelessness. But it definitely looked that way. It was apocalyptic at times. We had, you know, an empty downtown core. In the 5 years of running Be the Change, I've never seen empty streets like that before. So much has changed for us. Even things like, you know, sanitizing our wagons. This is not something that I regularly thought of before, but now we spray down those wagons really well and we clean the wheels. So much extra cleaning for all of us. A good 30 minutes per shift of just sanitizing surfaces. Things that you normally don't think so much about. And so for all of us in the world, we really have had to adapt. And so then we had to create more structures to expand to run 3 days. And we were very fortunate to get our office in the downtown core. If it wasn't for City Council support and Councillor Gondek that has been encouraging us and, you know, sort of supporting that work, working with the mayor, and, you know, City Council on large has been kind of helping us with that. We wouldn't have been able to expand if we didn't have a central location to do so. So it's been very positive to see that after so many years of working, that we were able to kind of get the resources that we needed. So that's nonprofit life, is creating connections and I guess being ready to adapt and change. Many things that we tried at Be the Change, it's, you know, was phased out after years, and we had to grow with that. So I tried, you know, a peer support program a couple of years ago. You know, we introduced a cell phone that was for, you know, to call and connect with peer support, which evolved into our sort of outreach phone, and that works really well with us right now. Many things that we thought of phased out, and they didn't work as well. And that's okay, because it's all about trying what works and creating new processes and sticking with what works, but not being afraid to admit when things don't work and trying other things. So I'm just gonna have a sip of tea because my throat is a little bit parched from talking so much and so fast. But I appreciate you all for tuning in. It's great to see that. So yeah, my advice for nonprofits would be exactly that, is just, to start somewhere and not to be afraid to fail, because that is just part of succeeding. So the second thing about, so I'm just reading some of the comments here, making sure I didn't miss anything. Glad to know you, Chaz. You and your team are amazing and strong people. Thanks for putting yourself out there to reach as many people, even during a pandemic. Thank you, Rio. That's very, very kind of you. I do know that the team at Be the Change, we work very hard. And so as we continue to work, it's important to acknowledge that these volunteers do give their time selflessly, and I commend them for everything that they do. Apart from myself, there's a Saturday team lead and a Sunday team lead, Hannah. She does fantastic work as well. So, and the other thing about being afraid to fail is, if you're going to put yourself out there, which, I am doing even right now, don't be afraid of bullying. That's probably something that you have to get used to, because if you want to start something or a nonprofit, you become like a lightning rod in many ways. Some people, they will target you because, there's an inherent nature that wishes if one person does something that you should be able to do it too, and that is so true. But in our human nature, sometimes we act out of that, and it can turn into bullying. And it's just not being afraid of and don't give up. If you are really passionate about something, just keep pushing through. But also recognize that if you're going to be a lightning rod, that you might get struck a few times, and that's okay. It's all growth to just teach you to continue growing and to continue being better. So yeah. So the other thing, public speaking. So I actually wasn't trained in public speaking, but I think since I was 18, I've sort of been doing lots of different public speaking. Where I start often is I think of things similar to an essay, intro, body, and conclusion. So when doing sort of, media and with news, generally I like to connect with journalists and media and sort of, kind of share what the project is, get to kind of have like that free flow of conversation and just ask really upfront, like, what are you looking for in your story? And I always try and ask any questions that I can be prepared for. So it's good to have that research. A lot of times it's simple Q&A, so there's not always the ability to, which and sometimes is really good, but with Q&A you can, you just simply get asked one question and then you can just give an answer. And I try to not ramble on too much beyond the answer because that's not always helpful. So one thing I know at Be the Change is, social media is super important. So most of our funding, if not all of it, for 5 years or so actually came from, you on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. All the donations and the word of mouth and every media that we got. I don't think we got a piece of news coverage like on TV until, year 3 or year 4. So for us, it's just been, social media, and social media has been very powerful I don't think there's been, there has not been any other generation that was able to raise funds in such a way. So it goes, it's crowdsourcing in that sense, because, we show you, the public, the type of work that we do, and then if you like it, then you give monetary donations or tangible items that you have laying around. And that has been primarily what funds the program to continue being as successful as it has been. So I was just looking at our charts for this past month, which was December, and we served almost 800 individuals. And so when I say we served 800, that doesn't mean individual interactions. That actually is people that we gave a tangible item to, whether that's a sandwich and gloves and a referral to an additional program, because our motto has always been a hand up, not a hand out. And the reason we said that is because, for starters, I don't believe that giving someone who's freezing outside a jacket is a handout. But number two, it's that resource referral that is super important. So it's great to have those tangible items. What's also equally important is to have that resource guide and that referral kind of process laid out, because in order to end homelessness or end the cycles of homelessness, we have to identify that need in the moment, which is often, I'm hungry, I'm thirsty, or I'm cold, and then it's to refer them. So where we've been referring many of our clients throughout the winter has been, the drop-in center, because clients are clearly freezing outside, and they're afraid to go to shelters many times because of COVID. And that's been sort of the story the entire pandemic. So I have actually been inside the drop-in center a few times, last time being a few months ago, and it smelled bleachy clean. There was not many people inside, which was a change from where it was pre-pandemic. So in some ways, the pandemic has kind of forced an evolution of shelters, if you will, as well, because now they're cleaner. People can actually sleep, and they don't have to be woken up at 5 a.m. So that they can start moving and cleaning that part of the shelter. Because you have to remember that shelters like this, sometimes would have upwards of 1,000 people inside. Right now, it doesn't even have 300, and the same time last year, it would be well over that. And so there wasn't the same standards. And in order for those individuals to have their spaces even cleaned, they would have to start waking them up at certain early hours of the day in order to start, kind of that phases of cleaning each floor and cleaning each part. So the pandemic is in a way kind of helped that. But again, COVID has spread through this population like any other population. They haven't been left untouched. And so what's great is those new machines were actually brought to the DI, and so they can do those rapid tests as well. So it's great that while COVID is unfortunately spreading, what's great is that we do have a government that kind of put some investment into creating the technology, but also funding the processes that would support shelter systems. So that helps us in our work as well, to be able to have a safe place to refer clients. And when I have clients, saying that they're afraid, but they're freezing, it's really triaging, like, if you get hypothermia tonight, is that worse, like freezing outside, or potentially catching COVID when it smells like bleach inside? So I mean, it's about having this information flow, and then being willing to collaborate, but to share what I know as an advocate, because I don't want clients staying outside if they can access safer alternatives. One thing that emergency shelters have been great at is that they've been housing more people than they previously were. And so this is great. So these are all things when it comes to public speaking, I like to give credit where credit is due. And I have indeed, public speaking is like tell the truth for sure. but also don't be afraid to give credit where credit is due. And so there is some credit that is due here. Okay, Rob, you take care. So, so if there's if anyone has any questions or comments, or they want to chat more about Be the Change, or what we do, or what I do, I am definitely here for that. So I've kind of been talking now for about almost 30 minutes, and I want to open up the floor to any questions that you might have out there. Or maybe I rambled on past a certain point and need to, like a full circle, come back to something. So we'll give a shout out here to a few people that are watching. If I can see who's even watching right now. Let me see. Is this... Oh. So hey Nelma, Jean Renee, Jake, hey Jakey. Thank you for watching and tuning in. I know COVID has not been easy on any of you and any of us. It's been trying times, but I think my goal for 2021 is to continue collaborating and, just continue, hi Jake, just continue, hey Nelma, just continue through this process of evolving and self-discovery and, self-care. I can't stress self-care enough. So self-care for me pre-pandemic was, going to the gym, going to the hot tub, going to the sauna, and that is not exactly where we've been at lately. So I actually, before this video, I went for a walk with one of my friends and got some fresh air. So I got a nice little water fountain, and I'm a fan of tea, so that's something that I do for self-care. Yeah, I miss you too, Nelma. I wish we could see more of you. Yeah, so I hope that in the future, I will continue to do more of these Chaz Chats. And actually, funny enough that my friend Dana was just on here, because I remember her saying something about a Chaz Chat, and it just stuck with me. So when I was thinking today, like, I need to do some sort of chat on my Facebook page and really kind of start promoting more of this public speaking and homelessness and really opening the floor to increasing collaboration, I was like, what can I call it? And it came to me, Chaz Chat. So that's what we got, and I'm hoping maybe in the future to continue doing something like this. If any of you have specific questions or comments or concerns, please feel free to let me know or drop a comment below. Another thing I will ask just before logging off here is that if you can invite your friends to like this page. There's an invite section in the top right corner, and if you invite your friends to like this page, that helps me in the advocacy work that I'm doing in order to continue spreading the message and continue raising awareness towards this cause. And one last thing that I'll leave you with here is that if you do feel led or moved to make a donation to support the work happening at Be the Change YYC Street Outreach Program, please check out our website, which is BeTheChangeYYC.org. And I'll leave that in the comment section below. But thank you so much for tuning in on your Monday, and hopefully the rest of your week goes well. Anyways, you take care, And yeah, happy 2021. Bye.